Before the mid-60s, Americans had never heard the term SUV, but the Ford Motor Company changed all that. In 1966, the new Bronco was an instant hit when it first rolled off the assembly line. Now, a group of craftsmen in this small shop is looking to rekindle that 50-year-old spark. They're bringing new life to an original Bronco and giving it modern-day technology underneath. Their mission? Make an American legend even better. Welcome to the headquarters of brand new muscle car in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, you don't get very far in this town if you don't believe in hard work. Tulsa was built on the shoulders of blue-collar heroes in the oil fields and beyond, and that hard-working spirit is embodied by the guys here at Brand New Muscle Car, because they know that every one of these classics is somebody's dream car, and that means paying special attention to detail. At the beginning of every step, they know that preparation makes perfect. The owner of this classic Bronco wants a full-time Roadster. No roof, no windows. And since there's no need for windows, some serious mods need to be made to the doors.
Oh, remember I told you to take to fit that one over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I need to cover it up, this door. So let's bring the grinder.
You know, Martin and Tony are really good. And I've had a lot of body people work for me over the years. Obviously, Martin's the best body man I've ever seen. And Tony's probably number 2 at this point because he's trained by Martin. So, you know, it's funny because Tony's so much younger. And you get these guys that have 10, 15, 20 years experience, and Tony's better than them.
Right there, put in a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
Right there, okay.
Ready?
You ready? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess no window, none of that. We're gonna also weld the hole for the lock.
Yeah.
And all that. So this is just gonna get basically the opening of the door in the interior and the inside then, huh?
Uh-huh. Okay.
All right, just make sure you don't put your fingers in there like your grandfather. He's gonna tell you, don't move.
Don't move. Nah, yeah.
You're gonna blame me.
Later, right?
Yeah, ready?
Ready.
The best thing about Martin is when you run your hands over it and you're feeling if it's smooth or not, it's smooth and it's right. And there's really not a lot of thought process behind it because Martin's an owner. He's got stake in the car. Tony is not an owner, but man, if anybody's ever worked like an owner, it's Tony. That guy puts so much pride in what he does, and the pride that Martin, Tony, and the body crew that we have here really stands out, and you really see that in the paint shop.
The metalwork is done and it is smooth, but not smooth enough for paint. It's time for Martin and Tony to mix and apply Bondo, which is an art form in and of itself.
I don't know, something tells me that you're a pretty good baker, Martin.
Right? I'm making a cake.
Throwing some frosting and all that on it, making it nice and smooth.
With Martin and Tony, their Bondo work is great. It's very smooth. They cut it down to 320 is their final step. Normally it's around 180. You can just prime it, block it, and go. There's never an issue.
You've probably heard the term, you've got hack body men. And a hack body man would be somebody that finishes it out real rough in a real coarse sandpaper. And then on the paint side, you've got a little bit more building up to do to make it smooth like you want it. You know, with Martin and Tony and the guys that we have here, you really don't get that problem. When you get it, it's ready to scuff down, prime, and go from there. Definitely a benefit on the paint side is having people like Tony and Martin that you're working behind.
I go like, go, Tony, go. Go, Tony, go. And you're like,
Hey, it's always good to have somebody on the sideline, right?
right? Yeah. So let's get another pin. Done.
Put down that remote because there's plenty more still to come from Tulsa. The body guys still have a lot of metal work to do on our classic Bronco, and you won't believe the metal work on this rolling work of art in the restoration shop. Stay tuned.
brand new muscle car classic Bronco is brought to you by Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. Silver Sport Transmission, overdrive transmission kits everyone loves, delivered with pride. And by Exalta Coating Systems, we paint winners.
Welcome back to the brand new muscle car shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Bronco is nearly ready for the painters, but there are still some issues. And Martin, he's laser focused on the hurdles they're facing.
This bracket, the holes, they're not aligned.
So,
Cabra.
how are we?
I'm
I gotta
fine.
check in, man. I haven't been back here in a while.
Yes, but you tried to kill me or what?
How are we? How are we looking?
Well, start to.
Oh, you had to cut some more stuff?
Yeah.
It's a little adjustment?
Yeah. On top of that,
Oh.
it's not matched. This thing is pretty big.
You want me to look at the old Bronco pictures? Maybe they weren't aligned. That's pretty far off.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can tell. I mean, it's.
I mean, ideally it would be lined up.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that?
Well,
That's pretty big. Oh,
Magic.
magic? Okay. Martin magic? Okay, I trust you.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Much better, right?
much better.
Okay. But I got another issue now. I fixed one and I found another. I think he hit him right here. Maybe the hood a little bit more forward, yeah. That's the only way. You see, sometimes the customers, he never realize. When I ask him, hey, for how long you can make my car? And sometimes you tell him 6 months, 7 months. Sometimes you can say it. And the problem it is, when you start to build the car, you start to find a lot of problems. A lot of problems you didn't expect it. This one's will make it a little bit more thick. And then the 6 months, sometimes it's taking us a year to finish a car because you got so many problems, so many adjustments in the car and try to fix it. And then sometimes the customer, he never realized sometimes to making a car take a little bit longer when normally it's supposed to.
That one's perfect almost. This one's still a little bit, but
Nice clearance, right?
oh yeah.
He got the same, or that one he looks more close? What is my vision? Let's finish welding the bracket, and then when it's done, start to finish align the wheel with the fender. Okay. Perfecto.
The other day we were seam sealing the bottom of the truck. Now we did half of this truck, so today we're gonna do the second half. We have Michelle giving us a hand, taping it up, make sure we have some nice lines just to make it look right, make it look good. But it's important to try to seam seal also the top, being an open truck with no roof, all kinds of weather is gonna be exposed to it, so we're trying to preserve as much life as we can off of this. Well, what do you think?
That's good. So, ready to do another step?
Yeah.
Let's do it, Papa. You see, you never finish with this stuff. Just got to start to cut the fender.
Yeah. To put on the flares?
Put the flares, yes. Yes, I think that one is the last.
Not every Bronco has wheel flares. When they come from the factory, the front wheel opening's pretty good size, the back one's really small. So if you're gonna do a 2.5-inch lift, 33-inch tires like we did, you've got to cut the wheel wells and put on wheel flares to cover up those cuts. And so we got with Wild Horses, asked them which one of the best ones we used were, got those, got the measurements, they helped us figure it out and got them all cut, and it looks really good. And I love the cut look. To me, that's the more aggressive look.
That's good.
Even though the Bronco body is fairly simplistic, getting it right is incredibly time-consuming. But it's nothing compared to one of the projects brewing at Brand New Muscle Cars Restoration Shop.
Personally, I love Camaros. We do a lot of Camaros. This is a second-gen Camaro in 1970. And normally on these cars, you'd have a metal body, you'd have bolt-on chrome bumpers, you'd have rubber pieces or plastic pieces on the bottom for spoilers. In this particular case, the customer wanted everything made out of metal custom. And we do handmade custom metal work all the time. We love doing it. And so this entire car is going to have custom ground effects, all made of metal. All the spoilers, front and rear, be metal. The bumpers have been made out of metal instead of bolt-on. They're made to the body. The entire thing's going to be painted like a brand new car. It's going to look really cool. Troy's one of our technicians. He does a lot of different things. He's the guy that does our custom metal work. And this thing's going to be like a metal sculpture when it's done. It's really going to be amazing.
Well, when I first heard what they were wanting to do and they brought it in, it was pretty extensive, so it was one of those you don't know whether you like it or not until you're halfway into it. The most challenging thing would probably be you have to hand fabricate every piece. There's nothing you can buy. You have to make a template and then actually make the piece out of metal and form it versus going to buy a piece out of a catalog. If you don't have an understanding client on a project like this, he'll more than likely he's going to bail on the project because it's so extensive that you really can't do an estimate, so it's just like a day-to-day project. It's a pretty neat deal. You try to get on the same wavelength as a customer so that you can, be on the same page, and sometimes they just give you the freedom to do whatever you want, which is the best one, so you can kind of twist and turn their idea and do it the best you can.
Just up the road, our classic Bronco moves around the wall to the paint area. And one of the world's foremost Bronco historians talks about Bronco's legacy. Learn more about the Ford Bronco story in Todd Zerker's new book. Get your copy of Ford Bronco, A History of Ford's Legendary 4x4 at cartechbooks.com and at popular retailers in-store and online.
I think generally people that are in the Bronco community have an appreciation for older vehicles. They're like any other mark, whether you're in Mustangs or Camaros. A lot of them have some memory of these vehicles from a long time ago, whether they were kids that their parents took them somewhere in it, or they had a neighbor next door that took them somewhere in a Bronco, where they learned how to drive in their uncle's Bronco. The common theme seems to be these stories that you hear from people that they have some strong memory of a Bronco that really sticks with them and gives them that modern day interest in the truck. I think it's very important for those of us that have been into the hobby for a while to preserve the legacy of the Bronco and pass that on to younger generations so they are aware of our history, the vehicle's history, what all it's accomplished in the American life in the last 50+ years, and hopefully make them enthusiasts so that they can enjoy cars for many, many years to come. And we hope that we can do something so that they can engender this love and admiration for these trucks so that they can be enjoyed for many, many years to come.
The bodywork is done, and it's time for the brand new muscle car painters to take over. But it's not as simple as merely spraying the vehicle. The painters still have some very important steps to take before they get out their paint guns. It's all in the name of the perfect paint job.
The most important part about the paint shop is prep work. If you do not do your prep work right, sanding the car, making sure that all the little dings and dents and scratches, and if you do not do that part right, it doesn't matter what kind of paint job you put on a car, it's going to look bad. So the most important thing that you can do whenever it comes to painting a car is you better make sure your prep work is right. You gotta finish it out with the right grit of sandpaper.
Working on the window frame for the Bronco, sanding it down with 180. We're gonna go over it with the PE primer, reblock it, and then 2K prime it. So we have the Bronco right now, and then block that again and paint it.
You have to make sure that all your edges are good, everything is done correctly, because if it's not, then your paint job will fall apart. It won't look good.
Right now I'm putting a thin guide coat. That way when I block it, it'll show me any imperfections I have before we paint it black, because the black will show everything. So as we block it, the guide coat will leave. Like if there's a low spot or something, it'll stay black, and then the rest of it will be just primer color.
Brandon, I think he's like 37 now. And we've been together since he's been 16. He came to me straight off of the Votech bus.
Look, my name's Brandon!
I thought he was an ass when I first met him. I was like, this ain't gonna work.
I think ragging on Brandon is like becoming a national pastime for us. It's because he does take it so well.
I remember I didn't even want to learn his name for the first 2 weeks because I didn't figure he'd last.
First words to me were, get a different profession. But it was probably about a month in, everything kind of shook out all right.
He ended up lasting, and we've been hanging out now for 25 years or so.
1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb war. Dig.
What the hell's dig?
Dig.
What the hell is dig?
I can dig for 3 seconds, and then I only can do it 3 times in one match. So you got to let it up, and then I get to come back. Okay? So that's dig.
Lightsaber. Your thumb's gone.
What is
it's gone. Lightsaber.
There's no lightsaber.
Done.
That's cheating.
Done.
1, 2, 3, Pete.
I got it. Pinochle. Ah!
All right, let's go paint.
Did a little bit of body work. I don't like it, so that's Martin and Tony's domain. I don't really care much for it, but I like doing the paint part. I like that, but it's really hard to explain that to somebody that doesn't do it, because it's something I enjoy.
The only thing I got left here on this is to fix that pinhole. So the pinhole I'll mark, and then we can do that all at one time.
I mean, why do football players like to play football? Because they enjoy it, you know. Why do race car drivers like to race cars? Because that's what they want to do. It's the same thing for me.
Just around the corner, we find out where Bronco collectors go for parts to keep their classic Broncos galloping on. And Dustin and Brandon finally get their hands on the roll bar.
Maybe some bronze on the roll bar, maybe pinstripe bronze on top of the roll bar.
Brand new muscle car Classic Bronco is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day on auto parts and accessories. R3 Performance Products, setting a new standard for muscle car and RestoMod builds around the world. And by Scoggin Dickey Parts Center, your source for custom-built street-to-strip power.
Welcome back to Tulsa, the home of brand new muscle car. The task at hand, revive a classic 1966 Bronco, starting with only the original body. It takes thousands of man-hours and it takes thousands of parts. And for a great deal of those parts, the team goes to Wild Horses 4x4.
At Wild Horses, customer service is pretty much #1. We answer the phones, we're here, we'll walk people through things if they run into problems. And you've got to have the knowledge of these vehicles because they're so changed from how they were originally. I can say we almost have every nut and bolt, bumper to bumper, right to left, top to bottom, for the 66 to 77 Bronco. Now we're still missing a few things, but you can just about build a Bronco from scratch with the products that are in our warehouse. These days we'll be making a lot of billet parts. We do suspension and steering and brakes, a lot of roll cages. Your typical cage is probably a 2-inch. We went with a 2 3/8 diameter, and it just gives it a beefier look. Obviously, Broncos do get rolled from time to time. We have pulled these cages out of vehicles and bolted them back into another one. Not too many years ago, it would cost you $20,000, $30,000. Now we print 3D parts on a $500 3D printer. We used to have to come into the shop, cut a piece of metal, grind it, weld it, shape it, beat on it with a hammer. Now, you know, we basically have a guy sitting at a computer typing in dimensions, putting form, and we print it out an hour later and we're testing it on a vehicle.
Wild Horses is great to work with. They're nice people. They got a great catalog. They got lots of information. They know the vehicles really well, and they're a ton of help. I don't know that much about roll cages. So we talked a lot about all the different models. Do they cover you when you roll over? Will it actually hold up? What's the strength of it? How is it welded? And when you talk to Wild Horses about roll cages, they'll get into how it's made, the metal, the welds, the design of it. And, you know, we picked out one that I'm really excited about because when you're building a Roadster like we are, where it's a permanent convertible, roll cage is a very prominent feature. And you're not going to miss it from any angle, and it really makes the look of this truck.
Speaking of roll bar, you might remember when all of this got started that Dustin had an idea.
But the roll bar, bronze.
No.
Think about it.
No.
What if we have Troy do? Yeah,
No.
roll bar, no.
You guys go out there, I got to call and order the bronze paint for the roll bar.
No!
Well, Dustin hasn't given up.
Well, this morning, they all wanted me to paint the roll bar black. Me and Dustin decided to paint it bronze to match the wheels. We think it'd look better, so we're going to surprise them all whenever they get here.
Oh,
know they are going to poop on themselves as soon as they come in because they can't fix it. No. Only us. They can't do nothing about it. You watch. Oh yeah, that looks good. Oh, you guys, oh yeah, it was my idea. I can see it now. Hey.
What's happening?
We got a special surprise.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What have they done?
No! The roll bar is painted! Come on, man!
No bronze roll bar.
Oh,
wow. Well, that's a cool color.
Yeah.
You did it.
That'll be great primer for the black.
Yeah.
Did you match the paint on the wheel? I mean, is this it?
We color matched the paint on the wheel.
I think you're right. I think we could sand this down real nice and smooth.
Yeah.
And get a nice glossy black.
No, you can't.
It's very Vegas.
I think the customer's going to love it because the customer's got good taste like the painters do. Yeah. We're ready.
Oh my.
It'll bring out the wheel.
Yeah.
Next week on Brand New Muscle Car Classic Bronco. All this preparation pays off. It's time for the painters to shine with a little help from their friends. Thanks for coming along for the ride. We'll see you then.